好定之道，皆因欲之事。大学习之意，皆文化之国。接受 Q&A， 嘉盛家长会。
Hi, welcome back to Just Show Q&A. My name is Jonathan Dotson. In this episode, we're going to talk about something a little more defined, a little more clear. And I think that's appropriate because our subject is going to be critical thinking. What is critical thinking? It is being able to reflect on what you see, what you hear, and to weigh that information to see whether it can be believed. That's always been an important skill. Whether you're at the market and somebody's telling you, oh yes, this is real, or whether you're reading about something that happened in the news, but maybe it's a current event and we don't have all the facts yet. Today, that's more important than ever because much of our information comes not directly, not through the filter of a news service. It comes to us through the internet. And the internet offers us a lot of convenience. It offers us a chance to gather broad amounts of information that have not been filtered. That means we have to make our own conclusions. We have to be able to think, who is this person? Why did they tell this story? How much can I believe them? Notice, that's an important question. I didn't say if you can believe them. How much can you believe them? Because maybe they tell the truth, but maybe they believe something very strongly, and that colors their thinking. Maybe somebody has strong wishes for something, and so that colors their thinking. Many people say that that is something that influences, for example, the presentation of history in certain countries. For example, in America, this was an issue. In the old days, they talked about Columbus as a great hero. And now today, there are people who say, well, there were some things that he did that were perhaps not so admirable. You always have to be able to look and weigh the information. Let's take something simple. All of you know what a coin is. For example, maybe Ichio. And I can ask you, how many sides does a coin have? Many of you will say 2, because for ordinary purposes, those are the things that matter. Everybody who studied geometry can look at it and say, no, there are 3. There's the top, there's the bottom, and then there's the edge. But what do you do with a coin? You need to know how much it is. So you look at what we call head, or at the tail. The edge today is not so important. If you flip a coin, in the US we will flip a coin to make a decision. And it doesn't land on the 3rd side and stay there. You call it heads or tails. But which one is true? Does a coin have 2 sides or 3? Maybe it depends, are you flipping a coin Or are you trying to describe it by geometry? The same is true for the internet. Somebody put that story on the internet. But your first question should be, who are they? And why did they put it there? I read on the internet last night that there is a story going on right now about some officials in Shanghai who went into a business and maybe did not act in a way that was proper for her position. And it seems that the man who put this on the internet says that these officials made him lose a house. And the house, he says, was worth $7 million. And as people look at these facts, there are questions. How did this man get this tape? How did he know that he would be able to show these pictures? We don't know the answers to those questions. We don't know what the problem was. But for your own purposes, you would think, what does each side have? Why did they do this? What are we seeing? Is there another way to explain it? For example, I read the comments in the story, and some people didn't believe. Some people said, how did he know? He must have set this up. It must have been a trick. One thing that you can do is not only do you think about why did somebody put that information there, not only do you look to see why they might want you to have a particular view, look for other views. Today, the news comes to us from many sources. I know for myself, I make a point of trying to read, for example, both British and American news so that I can get different views of international events. That's still not perfect, but it adds an extra element. So, for critical thinking, you need to look for other views. You need to look for explanations. You need to practice. I suggest that you read things that you don't agree with. For example, when I read opinions on the internet, you know, many newspapers have an opinion section where one of the editors writes what they think about an event. There are some people that I know that I will disagree with, but I read what they write so that I can understand the other side of an argument. That's a useful skill, because if you don't understand why another person thinks something, how do you fix problems with them? If you can't understand different ways to think, when you get into higher education, you need to start writing papers for a master's or a doctorate. If you can only see one path, you won't be successful. These are necessary skills. Critical thinking is what you use when you go to the market and somebody tells you, buy this, it is a real antique. And you look at it and you think, okay, so why is it going to cost me 10 kwai? This is a joke that we have about the watches that you buy in Tiananmen. Obviously, this is a very brief introduction to the idea of critical thinking. It will give you a couple of simple things that you can do to practice. These are skills that will help you as you prepare to write essays, for example, for GMAT. You need to be able to present your ideas persuasively. You need to be able to see other sides. But this is something that is easy to say. It takes a lot of practice to do it well. Get out there, read more, think about what you see, and for more tips, join us for our next episode of Just Show Q&A.
到此一重千里目，谁知才上一层楼。